Hi everyone, welcome to Deciphered Podcast episode 4.
He sounds so chuffed to be here.
I'm ill. I am Kieran.
I am Rob.
And we are doing this shit. It's been a really quiet week for news.
Yeah, quite actually.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no deaths this time, I think.
Well, we mentioned last time that we didn't really want to talk about death. We'll be happy next time. We say that every time. So our first news story, Tom Petty's death has been revealed why. Well, it's been revealed how he died.
Oh, we're just bad people.
Yeah, stop dying.
Yeah, so opioid crisis.
Yeah,
as far as I'm like people have
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, so
accidental overdose on medicine.
Now, obviously, there's the whole sort of stigma that's going around with it at the minute that it's basically just another Prince scenario where, you know, it's medicine kind of thing. And nobody's really going to know whether or not he was accidental or whether or not he was a prescription drug addict. His family have said otherwise. His family have said that there was no reason to believe that he was sort of hooked on anything, but who can fucking say, really?
So a lot of deaths in the metal community are prescription drugs. The Rev, Paul Gray.
The Rev was drinking at the same time, though.
He was drinking at the same time, I believe Paul Gray was as well. So yeah, not good, but that's revealed, that's the news. Oh, and like last minute breaking news from today, Slayer have announced their farewell tour. That was fucking out of nowhere.
Madness. About time, though, considering we were only talking about this like the other
week.
It
is strange, isn't it? Yeah, it's strange.
Maybe they watched the podcast and thought, right,
it's our time to
go. You know what? Nobody has faith in us anymore.
Yeah, so that's quite a surprise. So the tour will finish this year, apparently. No more Slayer. We'll still hear Slayer chants at festivals throughout the next 30 years at least, but keeps it alive. So that's today's news. That's this week's news. It's really quiet. This is the first podcast we've done actually the week after the last.
Huh?
So this is the first podcast we've done that's actually the week after the last one.
Right, so we've actually like been
doing it weekly.
We've caught up with the news now.
Yeah, we're actually doing it weekly. Crazy world we live in. Right, this week on Deciphered, we are going to be doing our top 10 albums. We will be discussing those albums one by one, starting off with one of us, then me, then the next person, then so on until we get to the top. If we have a album, so say my 9th album is his second, when I mention my 9th album, he'll say, well, hold on for that, and we'll discuss it when it gets to his second. Now, the one rule with this was, to save me giving 7 of them Sevenfold albums and 3 others, is 1 album per band. And this was fucking difficult.
By far the hardest thing that we've done so far to
Let's
ourselves.
never do this again. So who
yeah.
wants to start?
I mean, I will jump straight in, really, because I kind of want to get my first out of the way, but I feel like I have to mention it. Just because it was literally the very first album I ever bought when I was like 7.
Okay. Also, just quickly, this is from this century so far, not of all time.
So yeah, noughties onwards. And that's pretty much it, really. That was the only rule, wasn't it?
Yep.
It's like no multiple albums, and as long as it was made after 2000
or in 2000, yeah.
So my first on my list was actually Silver Side Up by Nickelback.
No, you know what? I don't have any issues with that.
Fantastic news. I really thought I was gonna piss you off within the first 5 minutes.
No, I'm not one of these people. Whoever gets so angry at Nickelback and not doing it ironically just fucks me off. They're not that shit. They've had some good songs.
Fucking amazing songs, and most of them are on that album. There's that album for me anyway was like there's not a bad song on it. I could listen to it from start to finish and it'd be.
Is this the album with How You Remind Me or Someday?
Yes. How You Remind Me.
Right, okay. Both absolute tunes.
Yeah. I think Someday was either the album after or the following one. But yeah, so
little adjustment to this.
Yeah. Sorry guys, we will sort the lighting out in here eventually, I'm sure. I don't have a lampshade, alright, I'm poor. So that was my 10th, and reason behind it was that it was like the first album that I ever picked up and just listened to it front to back. I don't know why I chose the album. I didn't even know that like they were the people that sang How You Remind Me.
Okay.
So I ended up just picking up a copy of the album, listening to it, and it's stuck with me ever since, pretty much. So that was like what I sort of attribute as like my first album of getting me into music in general. So
Sweet. And what like the top songs? What are you on that?
oh, well, definitely How You Remind Me, just because the hook is just killer. Just For as well is a really good song. One of the first that I learned to play on guitar when I first picked up guitar. Please don't ever ask me to pick up a guitar ever, because it won't happen. I can't play guitar. I just like to think I can. So yeah, there was a few others on there as well. Money Bought. Just really good songs, but I think it's like the childhood nostalgia for me, really.
Okay, fair. I've definitely got at least one nostalgia in here.
So number 10.
My number 10 is Come Whatever May by Stone Sour.
Fantastic, fair enough. It's actually quite high up. I thought it was going to be a little bit lower down than that.
Yeah?
Not surprised that it's on your list.
Right, okay, so you thought we were under 10. So this, I had like 5 albums. I had to go down to 1 to have my 10th pick. It went from 5 to 4 to 3 to 4 to 3 to 1. It was difficult. We'll go through the ones that didn't make it after the 10. So many great songs in there. Through Glass is a theme.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a theme, is that the word I'm looking for? I'm going with it.
An anthem.
Anthem is the one I was going for. That song is amazing. 30-31-50, Major Scars, Silly World, ZZYZ X Road, what the fuck it's called. Really killer tracks in there. It's easily the best Stone Sour album they've done. Entirely.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And is my only Corey Taylor album on the list.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very, very
Which
interesting.
we'll get to later.
Yes.
So that's my number 10. I feel like it had a massive effect. It shows what they can do as a band. Jim Root was my favourite member before he got kicked out of the band. Corey. Yeah. That's really my opinions of it.
Definitely agree that it should be in the top 10. I mean, it was something that came up for me. I didn't finalise it in the end just because I don't feel like I've listened to it enough as a full album to warrant putting it on a list like this. Just to be clear, like, for me anyway, the selection that I've made for tonight wasn't necessarily about just that, like whether or not I listened to them as much as like the next album. It was also to do with like nostalgia or things like that, like good memories. Things that I attribute to said album and why it's made the list. But yeah, so it was just missing that for me.
Okay.
But definitely agree. Definitely Stone Sour's strongest album by far. Yeah, really cool.
Good.
So next up for me is another one, because this is probably shortly after I started listening to lighter rock music that listening to albums like Nickelback first got me into and stuff. Thank You has been driving me fucking crazy.
I know. Excuse my concentration face. That's a bit better.
So yeah, when I sort of, this is an album for me that I made the transition from sort of like just light rock music and sort of poppy rock music to actual like punky, rocky, metally sort of fused kind of music. So this is like one of the first bands that I ever sort of really got into for that. So I've actually chosen Bitterness the Start by 36 Crazy Fists.
Okay.
Mostly only for one song, Slit Wrist Theory. But for me, that was an anthem. That was like, I remember first getting into the drums and listening to that song like a lot. First really getting into music and making it more of like a passion, as opposed to just I listen to music. It was more like, yeah, I really enjoy music, and obviously other albums and stuff fall under that sort of same umbrella, but this is just one that sticks out for me, particularly that song. So I can't really name any other songs that sort of do that for me on the album, but that song enough, and the amount that I listened to it and the amount that it made me want to play drums was just, yeah, phenomenal. So I put that down as shouldn't necessarily be on the list in terms of like how much I would listen to it, but definitely the importance factor.
Okay. It's kind of funny that you mention 36 Crazy Fists, because I don't know much of the music at all. I have one memory of them, and this memory leads on to my next pick. So
Interesting.
At Download 2010, I was probably smashed in some way, and I went to the arena to go see this particular band, and 36 Crazy Fists were on beforehand.
Okay.
And I fell asleep on the floor while they were playing. Okay?
Yeah.
And I woke up halfway through Breathe Life by Killswitch Engage. So my 9th pick is The End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage.
Good fucking choice.
Now, it's
another one that came very close
Yeah.
for me as well.
So, I'm a massive Howard fan. I prefer Howard much more to Jesse. I still like Jesse, but Howard's the
He just brought something to the band.
His voice is
He
incredible.
just brought something that was just unparamounted.
Exactly. So there's proper amazing tracks in there. So my favourite track of all time by them is Rosa Sharon.
Fair enough.
Insane song. I love it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but the opener from a bid farewell into As Darkness Falls. There might be a second one in between that. Really good album. Now when it's following on, you'll see what I mean in my next pick as well. Picking these picking the 10 was hard enough. Putting it in order was insane, and I was entirely smashed last night and just did it. And I've doubted myself on my picks in order today, but I've stuck with it and just like, okay, that's fine. Really, it's in the top 10. It's great. The thing is, Breathe Life is a great song as well. It's kind of ironic that I woke up to that song.
Yeah.
And I was like, Breathe Life. I was like, awesome! Fuck, I missed half a Killswitch and it opened with my favourite song. Bastards. Either way, yeah. Great album.
That's fair enough. Anything else? Just
No, pretty much it. Your
That's
thoughts
it.
on it?
yeah, I really like it. I wouldn't be able to choose my favourite Killswitch album, I don't think. Just because, again, like a lot of Nickelback songs, they're sort of my favourite Killswitch songs are dotted between albums.
Yeah.
Fair. But definitely love the album, so
Yeah.
good choice. So number 8 for me, again, for nostalgia's sake, and definitely a lighter sort of pick for me in terms of what I would listen to nowadays, is Come Clean by Puddle of Mudd.
Okay.
Now, we all know that Wes has gone a bit fucking Pete Tong.
Gone mad.
Absolutely, but
Arrested every other week.
the thing is, back then, the quality of the music, for this album anyway, the quality of the music for me, I mean, like, everyone sort of remembers this album because of songs like She Hates Me and stuff like that.
Right. Probably the only song I know by him.
Shit. It's a shit song. I don't like it. It's
alright, yeah.
designed to be catchy. It's designed that the swears and stuff like that are like the pinnacle of the song almost. So I don't really gel with that song. It's the rest of the album which I feel like falls under disrepute because of that song. Like, everyone sort of picked up that album and most people wanted it for that song and maybe got to know a few of us like Drift and Die or Blurry. Blurry is a fucking beautiful song. For anybody that isn't a big Puddle of Mudd fan, I would say definitely check out Blurry. It's an emotional one. Be ready. So yeah, that was my my number
But with
8.
She Fucking Hates Me, you say it's shit, and I just kind of agree with you. Then I realised when you're like at a festival or a pub and they're having like a rock night and that comes on, it does get pretty much everyone going.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I mean, though. That's why the song was written. It's
Right,
kind of
yeah.
like a random fucking Big Bang Theory fact that's actually true, is that they did rewrite the whole script of Frozen near enough to fit around Let It Go, the song. So they fine-tuned the finished product to fit around something that was kind of tangential in the first place. And I feel like that's perhaps what that song is for me, is that it's, you know, they sort of wrote it for the purpose of getting people to shout at them and stuff like that. I mean, that's delicious.
Apologies, sorry, I have a cold. I have a cold. I'm gonna be blowing my nose. I'm so sorry.
And
Little pile of toilet rolls. Oh, there it
yep,
goes.
on my floor. That's fine.
Sorry, dude.
So yeah, I mean, like, it's good. I understand the purpose of the song, but for me, it's definitely the weakest on the album, to be honest.
Okay.
Control is a filthy, filthy song, and I think I relate to it a bit too much. What's your next pick?
So my next pick, and I'm gonna get some fucking hate for this for going above Killswitch, is 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge by My Chemical Romance. And that is an entire nostalgia pick. The struggle I had between The Black Parade and 3 Cheers was real.
That was actually the thing that I was more surprised at. It's like, well, Like, I can imagine that you probably listened to My Chem perhaps a little bit more than Killswitch when you first got into these bands.
Yeah, nowadays I barely listen to MCR.
Yeah.
Although, funny enough, I mentioned the other day I started listening to a few songs.
Aren't they like a rap group now or some shit?
They're not together anymore.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but their most recent album was like entirely not emo. It was awful. Yeah, I mentioned that I was listening to them. Then they came on Radio 1. I'm not okay, came on Radio 1 in the middle of the day. I was like, that's pretty weird. And now there's loads of rumours they're getting back together. So I'm thinking that basically I started this and they should give me some of their cash. 3 Cheers Sweet Revenged. Okay, so Helena, amazing track for Gerard and Mikey's nan, I believe. She died, and that's who Helena is.
No shit.
I'm Not Okay. It gets a lot of shit. Lewis fucking hates it with a passion. I think it's a pretty catchy song.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I actually do really enjoy the song. The drums are really good.
For sure. Cemetery Drive, I've got kind of a connection to that song because something happened years ago. And every time I hear it, I think about that. Nothing too weird, I just can't be asked to go through it, it's not that interesting. And we have Thank You for the Venom, which is an amazing song, but the song on that album, and still, especially when watching the video, sends chills down my spine at one particular point towards the end, is The Ghost of You.
Yes.
That fucking song is incredible. I don't give a shit.
By far the most powerful song they've ever written as well.
It's just insane.
It's enough to give you goosebumps, man. It is enough to make your
Sends
head
back.
stand
It's making me
up on
think
edge.
like now. I'm just like, oh, dude, it's one of those tracks that just doesn't get age.
It's
It still feels new.
perfectly crafted as well, I feel. Perfectly crafted, like the melodics and stuff like that he sort of employs with his voice just work perfectly with the lyrics and stuff, and the very feel of the song is just kind of all comes together. So like you can't really write a better song in that sense, really.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't write a song that sort of works as well as that when you put it all together.
It's got emotion. I know, emo emotion, blah blah blah, but it's got, yeah, just the lyrics are good. The Gerard's voice is amazing in it. The bit where it's like, fuck. It's really like should I bit, and then the last bit it's like should I? And it's like should I? I'm doing a fucking terrible impression, but that bit every time, that's when it sends chills. I'm just like, mate, that sounds so good. And the video makes it intense.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
That is my number 8 pick. They had, no one can deny, they had a massive impact on our scene back in the day. In fact, there was like a bunch of emo kids outside the Daily Mail offices or the Sun offices having a go at them or protesting because there's some bullshit happened. I know someone might have died and they blamed MCR. So the fans were like, actually, fuck you.
As you
Quite
would.
funny. Yeah.
As you would.
Pretty much. Or go to a protest, but you get the idea.
Yeah, for sure. So, which leads me on to number 7 for me then, which is The Sickness by Disturbed.
Okay.
Again, sort of early days of me sort of falling in love with everything that I love about music now. Disturbed are one of the first bands that I think of every time, because it's like, when I first started getting into music properly, I was mostly only interested in like the drums or just like certain things about the song. Like with that, it was the melodics and stuff would stand out to me, and it would be the fact that my hairs were standing up on end. Disturbed were one of the first bands that I sort of really got into, that it became about actually like the whole band, and I really like David. I think he's a fucking awesome bloke. He's been through some shit, as we discussed last week, I think it was. Like behind some of the meanings in the songs that he writes is pretty intense, man.
I certainly don't agree with some of his political views, but I'm not going into that on here.
Well, no, and to be fair, I mean, I definitely, I'm not interested in that kind of shit myself. I just think he writes brilliant music. I think the whole band play brilliantly together. Their more recent stuff, maybe not so much for me, but this album in particular is just full of songs that need attention. Voices, man, is fucking unbelievable. And just, they're just a band that I attribute with everything metal, really. Like, there are other bands that are heavier, there are other bands that employ more like intense guitar work or intense drumming or intense vocals and stuff, but they've just got like a nice even balance of everything, and I feel like that comes out on this album.
Similar to MCR, they also had such a massive impact on our community. So I'm fine with them being in there. Yeah, fair play. I know last week I said I didn't see them carrying the shit, but for an album, absolutely.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was world changing. My number 7 is Ascendancy by Trivium,
Excellent.
because it's fucking incredible.
Would you say it is your favourite Trivium album?
Oh, easily. I mean, when I was thinking about this, I had a slight thought of the Sin and Sentence, the new one.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting.
That's definitely number 2. But I felt that it hasn't been out long enough for me to judge it. I'm just enjoying it at the moment because it's still new to me.
Yeah.
Whereas Ascendancy it's like an 04 album, I think. It's fucking great. The Dying in Your Arms, softer one, but still incredible. That was an anthem for sure. Like, that was the song, one of these songs.
That's another one that makes my hair
metal
stand up
charts.
on end.
Yeah.
Like, goosebumps for sure.
Such a good song.
Fucking poetic as fuck as well. The lyrics are, again, yeah, alright, kind of a little bit emo, a little bit kind of like, I mean, the name of the song gives everything away, really. Like, this is me dying in your arms.
Yeah.
Well, that's morbid. Thanks, guy. Like,
I was having a good day till now.
yeah, I know, but I tell you what, fucking, obviously you don't know why he's written that song, so we can't go into sort of
No?
into what it means to him, but
You may
certainly
have
to
reached
me,
fact yourselves, which you fucking did.
well, yeah, and it's a song that I think a lot of people can relate to if they've ever been to, like, through sort of a shit breakup or like dissonance between them and somebody that they love and feelings being different. That's basically what it's all about, is like, you know, one person being too far gone and the other person not being far gone enough, and you know, this is basically my emotions dying. Like, can you please just kind of help me cut you out and set me free?
Yeah. Pretty intense.
Pretty intense.
Rain, beautiful song.
Yes.
Didn't get into that one for a good few years after when I first heard the album. I liked it, but then it became one of my favourites at one point.
Is To the Rats on that album?
No, that's The Crusade.
Yeah.
That's a fucking tune, though.
Yeah, it is.
A Gunshot to the Head of Trepidation, Pull Hard the Strings of the Martyr. Those two songs make that album for me. They are the best songs on the album. Maybe not my favourites now, but the longest period, those two were the main ones. And Like to Flies, what a great song.
Brilliant.
Really good, heavy as fuck. My perfect mix of music is a good mix of singing and screaming. That offers it. And yeah, it's growing up, it was one of those albums, and they've stayed as one of those bands. They're at least a top 20, top 15 band for me now. Absolutely incredible album.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, number 6 then for me, and
I feel it coming.
you're probably not going to like how far down the list they are, but I do have Avenged on the list.
Oh, okay, it's now, is it? Oh, didn't see that coming. I thought it was another band.
It is now. No, those other bands are probably quite alarmingly close to the front that you're not going to like it.
That's fine.
So I've actually got
right.
the self-titled Avenged Sevenfold.
Self-titled, deal, fine. Not my
Definitely, it's hard for me because I feel a very, very strong sense of what you feel perhaps about Trivium's newest album to The Stage. Like, for me, it's kind of like, whoa, I listened to The Stage for the first time and I was like, I'm not a massive Avenged fan. Being sat next to him, I'm really not a massive Avenged fan. But fuck me, when I listened to that album through for the first time, I was just like, this is epic, this is monumental, and it became really fucking difficult. But the reason that I put them on here is because, or like that I picked the self-titled, sorry, was that I feel like if I picked The Stage, it might have gone further up the list in comparison to the other albums that I've got on there. Whereas this one, I've had a very long time to listen to this album. I appreciate near enough every song. I can't think of a song that I don't like on the album. I've had longer to sort of listen to it. I've had more of a connection with it than The Stage. If you'd asked me this question in like 2-3 years, it probably would end up being The Stage.
Okay,
because I
interesting.
feel that strongly about it. And like, I love the Rev, but they have landed a very fucking sweet new drummer. Like, he is good. He's extremely good.
He's great. Not the Rev, but he's great.
Yeah, exactly. He's not the Rev, so it's always going to be missing something. So, and that was one of the things that I ended up picking this album for, was because it's like, well, it is the Rev, so like, it's got to be done.
That's fair. Standout tracks.
Oh, Lost,
That was my original favourite song.
Gunslinger.
Oh man, that's probably my now favourite song.
They're probably, I would say, they're probably my two biggest on the album. Scream's really good. I love that song. I like Critical Acclaim. I like them all, but
Yeah.
it's just, Yeah, definitely Gunslinger and Lost were the ones that, for me, again, like Lost is goosebumpy.
Yeah,
that's
sick.
goosebump worthy. So
A Little Piece of Heaven's got to get a shout out.
yeah,
because
naturally.
it's fucking incredible.
I mean, as a song, like it's hard. It's one of those songs that if like I was seeing them live, I couldn't wait for that moment. Like I would be waiting the whole show until they played that, and then I'd be like, right, I'm happy. I don't care what else they do for the rest of the gig now. They can play whatever songs they want. They have to play this live when I go and see them.
Funny enough,
On the
Hey
album,
Dollars.
I don't really. Meh.
Oh really? Okay.
I enjoy listening to it, but because I've listened to it for the novelty so many times that when it cocomes on the album now, there is a good chance that I'll just be like, oh, skip. Because
And that's the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I won't see you next week.
He'll be robbed by himself. No, fair. The soundtracks for me: Gunslinger, Afterlife, Lost, Brompton Cocktail. Oh, fucking Brompton Cocktail.
Yeah, boy.
So Unbound the Wild Ride is my opinion the weakest. I thought that pretty much from the start, although I hated A Little Piece of Heaven when I first heard it, funny enough. But we'll go more into that in a few months. But Unbound the Wild Ride is also M Shadow's least favourite song he's ever done. Fun fact.
Wow.
Or not very fun fact.
I
Either way.
didn't know that though.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
so there you go. Alright, fucking good choice. Number 6 for me, I don't fucking know what it was. It was Hate Crew Death Roll by Children of Bodom.
Never listened to it in my entire life.
Fucking do it. It's a sick album. I don't rate Children of Bodom that high in my bands. Live, they're even worse. But
Really?
this album is fucking glorious. Now, my song names are going to skip my mind because I didn't write it down. And that's my excuse. But the opening track, Needle 24/7, was the first song I heard. It's still my favourite from that day. An incredible time. This is, in fact, so I got into a bunch of bands from a couple of people that that went around the same house at a particular time. I don't know, like a decade ago. I got into Machine Heads. I got into Children of Bodom, Sixth, Incubus, all at the same time. Oh, and Metallica, right? Kind of varied there, especially with Sixth and Incubus being in the same
Yeah, a
pot.
little bit.
But yeah, this album by Children of Bodom, so it's got a great combination. It's mainly screaming, there's no singing really, but it's heavy metal instruments, but so much like melodic orchestral kind of stuff. So like pianos, keyboards, bit of violin here and there, and that I love all that kind of stuff mixed into one. It's so fucking good. So that's my number 6 pick. I would definitely suggest listening to it.
Okay, that's cool. I might take you up on that actually, because they're not a band that I've really ever attributed with you either. So
No, I don't mention them enough. See,
no, that's it. Quite a surprise.
6, yeah.
So number 5 for me, for personal reasons, this one is actually New Again by Taking Back Sunday. Now, I'm not the biggest Taking Back Sunday fan, although there was a time in which I listened to them an awful lot, and it was around about the same sort of time that this album came out. I know that you obviously won't really know any of their songs, so I won't go into too much detail about them, but they do have some really good songs on that album that for me, and due to the sort of time that I listened to it, I connected with the lyrics and connected with like just the feel of some of the songs on that album so much that it didn't feel right to not have them on the list. And the more and more I thought about how much of an impact the album had actually had on me, when I thought about my favourite Taking Back Sunday album, and I obviously realised it was this one. I sort of thought like, well, you know, like originally they were up at like 9th or 8th or something, and I kept moving them down, partly because other bands, when I was thinking about other bands to put on the list and stuff like that, that I ended up thinking like, well, actually, no, they deserve to go further up. I've listened to Taking Back Sunday more, but yeah, mostly just for the sort of personal connections with some of the songs, like Everything Must Go, Swing. New Again is a really, really good song. Summer Man is a really good song. And then they're definitely not your sort of thing. I think they're a bit too sort of like, don't know, a bit too like...
I like that one song you play. Ugh, I can't name it.
Sure.
There is one particular song that you play by Taking Back Sunday. If I heard
In
the
the
name,
car, or...?
yeah, if I heard the name, I'd know it.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
Okay.
we'd have to go through those.
It's like a music video in a blue room. That's all I'm remembering. Sorry, carry on.
It could be Make Damn Sure or Liar.
Does ring a bell.
They're not on this album anyway.
Okay.
So that was my number 5. Again, for personal sort of connection reasons, really, more than anything.
Okay, I don't know enough about them to comment really.
No, that's cool.
Fortunately.
So your number 5th?
My number 5 is Death of a Dead Day by Sixth. Funny thing I noticed the other day when I'm choosing this, this album has been mentioned every podcast we've done. We did album review last time. The time before that, I mentioned that I saw it in live in full, and the time before that, I mentioned that I'm going to see it live in full. So it's got to mention every single podcast. Well done, Sixth. They're my 5th pick. We spoke about them enough last week, but a little recap if you fucking dickheads haven't watched it yet. Is great album. Screaming and singing Justin Hill's vocals are just one of my favourite vocals of all time.
I didn't get into the album as much as I would have liked, I guess, listening to it, but definitely more than I thought I would.
Got a 7 from you, I think, so that's pretty fun.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's deserving of it. Like, in terms of like a critical ear, I listened to it and I thought, okay, maybe I wouldn't have picked this out for myself, but like, it is pretty trippy. It's a bit fucking insane. It's a bit of a head fuck listening to the album. I like music like that. It's quite technical, and do you know what I mean? Like, it's not sort of something that you could just throw on and listen to in the background kind of thing. Like, if you listen to an album like that, you're listening to an album like that. Because it's hard to sort of zone out and do your coursework or whatever if you're still in school.
Right.
To somebody going, push forward, even though that's not on the album.
It's not. Hold on.
But that's the sort of thing that I feel when I think of a band like Sixth. They're just that sort of like in your face twisted that you just couldn't sort of like put your feet up and just whack it on in the background kind of thing. So that's why I ended up giving it a good score myself.
Right, fair.
Did like it. Good songs on there. Really good songs on there.
Yes, throughout tracks, In This Light, Bland Street Bloom, Part of the Friction, and the song that last time I forgot the name of, and I absolutely have done again this time, the one after Part of the Friction. Where Do We Fall? There we go, nailed it. Cracking album, love it. So,
cool.
Before we go to number 4 picks,
yes,
next week we're going to have a album review like usual. It'll be Rob's choice. We'll discuss that at the end of this podcast. However, I'm going to put out a poll, or we're going to put out a poll after this podcast, and that will decide the one afterwards. We'll give you a week to vote, and then it gives us a week off next week's one to listen to it. And they will be our 4th pick. We decide on that number, not too high, so they like chat about them for like days, and not too low that they're just another album. So we chose 4, and so your pick, your number 4 for this poll, and your top albums of the century.
So what? So for the one for the poll as well, is this?
This is 4, yeah.
I have a plan.
Oh god.
So interestingly, you said earlier that Corey Taylor has not made your list again in any shape or form. Well, that is not the case for me, sir.
Right.
Because in 4th place, I have "All Hope Is Gone" by Slipknot.
Okay, All Hope Is Gone. Interesting choice. Controversial choice to many people, I'm sure.
I don't give a fuck.
No, don't give a fuck. That's fine.
I love the other albums. Like, I love Iowa. I love Slipknot, but it's just, I don't know. For me, I get why like the diehard fans that we used to what they'd been doing up until that point. I mean, I got my first Slipknot album when I was like 10, and I went skating in some park, and there was a guy there. It was like a proper organised event, and there was a guy there who actually had like decks and stuff and was like playing music. And I remember, I don't know like how this conversation ended up coming about, but I said to the guy, like, I didn't know who Slipknot were. I just knew that they were a band and I'd heard their name before. So I went up to him while I was skating and I said, "Hey, can you put some Slipknot on?" And he was just like, "Well, you know, it's a bit too heavy for here, but I've got an album, like, I'll give it to you." And he literally just handed me the disc. So I was just like, cool. Right, so yeah. I went home and I listened to it and I shat my fucking pants because I was 10 years old, and it's weird having fucking distorted, twisted sounds and people like sounding like they're dying in the background and stuff like. But I fucking loved it. I remember like getting to the end of the album and being sat there like, I think I'm going to hell, but it's fine. So I had early connections with the band as well. And for me, I still don't understand why so many diehard fans can listen to an album like All Hope Is Gone and just not be overcome with how much they're transformed as musicians by that point. yes, it's produced. Yes, it's like quite a lot, sort of more produced than their older works. And yes, it's perhaps toned back a level as well. But I think it just works. And like, I don't hear these people sort of complaining when Psychosocial's being screamed at the top of everyone's fucking lungs, download or whatever. Like, I don't hear these people complaining then. And yes, alright, fair enough. Like, there are tracks on the first album and on Iowa that everyone would bellow at the top of their voices, but there are so many on All Hope Is Gone. Sulfur, like Psychosocial, Dead Memories. Dead Memories is a fucking tune. That is like the best Slipknot song for me ever.
At one point, it has been my favourite song.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do generally feel that as well. It wasn't until it got released as a single and was like played quite a bit that I feel like people sort of started stepping back from that song. That's it. Like, there's not a moment in that song that doesn't stick out in your brain. Like, you listen to it for the first 3 times.
And the video's sick as fuck as well.
Fucking is. And I thought that album was perfect. It was a clear milestone for them. It's like, look at how far this band have fucking come. And I don't understand how so many other people cannot feel that.
Not my favourite. It's not the one that almost made my list.
Okay.
Which was Volume 3.
Yeah.
Subliminal Verses, because that's just a much better album in my opinion. But back to All Hope Is Gone. Fucking Sulfur and Dead Memories are key points. Psychosocial I do like a lot, but not as much as the other two. And
For sure.
The bonus track Till We Die gets me. Now, I have reasons. This album is... I think without this album I wouldn't like Slipknot as much live. So every single time I've seen them live, well, pretty much, at least at festivals, something big has happened. So 2 different festival shows, it rained during the lyrics and the Rain Will Kill Us All.
Yeah.
That
2013,
gets you fucking going.
like...
I think it's 13 and 15 that happened, yeah, and that just gets you going. You're like, well, fuck, that's amazing. And when I saw them at Sonosphere 2011, I believe it was, when they headlined, it was their first UK show after the passing of Paul, and they
had him, like, they had his boiler suit on, like a thing.
Yeah, at the end, after the show finished, they had the boiler suit and his mask and his bass, I believe, and they played Till We Die through the speakers. Proper fucking loud. They still do it these days, but they kind of like play like the first 30 seconds and turn it off, but this time they played the whole song, and the band took photos with it, and Joey kind of like went up to it and then kind of just fell to his knees while he was hugging it, and he's got a mask on, but you can tell from the mannerisms, like he's shaking, you could tell he's crying his fucking eyes out. And I first and only ever time I cried my fucking shit at festivals with Zoe Lambourne. And yeah, I was gone. Couldn't deal with it, and it was intense as fuck.
I'm not surprised
that's
at all.
Insane. So yeah, that's fine. I'll be happy to review that. The opposition. Number 4 is Unto the Locust by Machine Head.
Fuck. Okay.
So
we have got a fight on our hands.
When we decided number 4, we didn't know our number 4. I had my top 3, and that was it. So Machine Head, Unto the Locust. Now, a few people have commented, I believe. I know there's at least one that says the Blackening has to be on there. Well, fuck the Blackening. Yes, it's great, but really, I think I prefer. That's probably my 4th down album. Like, I prefer Unto the Locust. I prefer Bloodstone and Diamonds. I even prefer. Now, don't give me too much shit for this, but Supercharger. It's one of their most hated albums because when they went to the new metal phase. But that's how I got introduced to Machine Head. So at the same time I was getting into Incubus, and Sixth and all that. I was shown Machine Head, and Supercharged was the album that I was shown, and it was played a lot. And there's so many fucking good songs there. But anyway, Unto the Locust, the title track, or the Locust itself, it's a fucking great song. The opening track is amazing as well.
The opening track.
It's now skipped my mind the name of it. Because I keep doing this.
We're so good at what we do. That's what you people need to remember.
We're letting you do the work for us.
At what we do. This is just a hobby for us, alright? We have no interest in taking this seriously at all.
No, we hope no one watches. Please leave. So, yeah.
Definitely, I agree with a lot of other people. I'm surprised that The Blackening isn't sort of further up your list, but I'm not surprised that it's not your top.
Blackening has 2 amazing songs, maybe 3, and then just a few other songs. Whereas there's only one song I don't like on this album, and that's Pearls Before the Swine. You've got Who We Are, great track at the end. You've got This Is the End. That song is the best Machine Head song in my opinion. You got Darkness Within, which is fucking incredible. I fucking really want to name the first song, but Be Still and Know, it's the second track, it's incredible. The first track, honestly, it has a name and it's incredible. Keep saying incredible, but that's all I can fucking think of in this ill state. My excuse last time was the driving test, now my excuse is I'm ill. So, a lot of people felt like the Machine Head should have headlined festivals after Blackening. I'm not going to dispute that whatsoever. I feel after they released Unto the Locust, that was their time to do it. Even more so. That's when they did a headline tour around the UK with my favourite band as second down on the bill, Bring the Horizon, and then Devil Driver. That was fun for them.
Devil Driver, you've seen them?
I Am Hell. That's track 1. Sorry, I Am Hell. Great song. What did you say? Sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Cool. It's just
moment's passed.
I Am Hell is like an 8-minute beast. Fucking insane. It just tears your fucking face off. But yeah, they headline those shows. They sold pretty well, as far as I know. And then the next tour they did with Bloodstone and Diamonds, they're playing the Roundhouse rather than Wembley Arena. What happened? So I don't know, but that is my number 4 pick.
Very good.
Have you heard the album? Your thoughts on it?
No, I've definitely would have heard songs from it. I've never listened to the album the whole way through, from start to finish.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, sorry, I almost choked, so I laughed instead. I imagine myself coughing coke on your Xbox and then laugh for some reason
because you're a great friend. That's what that is about.
I'm super sorry.
Right, so number 3 for me. Now, I hope that you'll appreciate this because I was telling you the other day that number 3 and number 4 were constantly swapping around, and part of the reason that I put them in this place is so that you wouldn't have to deal with the potential of having to review.
I thought I saw it coming when you said that, but go ahead.
I have chosen for number 3 Homesick by Day to Remember.
I was still not what I was expecting. They're even
that's-
higher than that.
That's
Oh,
next.
God.
That's next.
Homesick by Day to Remember. Right. Fucking go on. Talk about it, sir.
Okay, so Downfall of Us All, not a very good song. It's an anthem for the right crowd. It's an anthem for their fans. Totally get it. Totally appreciate that. Whatever. But for me, it's just not a very strong song. The rest of the album, on the other hand, fuck me, it's really good. I wouldn't say that I'm like a massive fan of them anymore, but certainly when I got into this album and the next one, which is called What Separates Me From You, those 2 albums for me were like, they're everything that you would attribute with like a 16, 17-year-old sort of like emo rocker kid coming of age, basically. And that's exactly when I picked the albums up. That's exactly when I listened to them as much as I did. And I have that connection with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get the feeling that there are probably so many other people out there that could relate either with another band or with A Day to Remember, not in particular. And we obviously spoke about last week how they might be a bit more everlasting than perhaps somebody like you would care for.
Well, I picked them last week.
This is true, yeah. I mean, I was quite surprised by that. Which just shows that you're objective about it and not getting too caught up in. Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, if I was going to get you to listen to a Day to Remember album, it probably would be this one.
Is this with Second Sucks?
No, that
No?
is What
Okay.
Separates Me From You. That's the next album. So this one is a bit sort of more everything that you hate about bands like this, I must admit. But
The Whine. Is it whiny?
some songs on there probably will be, and I know that you find his voice quite whiny anyway. I actually quite like his vocals because he can sing like pretty well. Yeah, he's very much like a buy our merch.
Day to Remember.
Buy our merch from the stand. He's kind of got that, but like his heavy vocals are fucking good. Like that much can't be denied. Really, his heavy vocals are pretty good. And the rest of the band are really good. Their drummer's sick. They've had like chopping changing with guitarists and stuff over the years. I think they've gone back to their original lineup now. But I really like the album. There's not a song on there that I don't like apart from Downfall of Us All, really, which is the opening track. The rest of it's pretty bog standard. It's alright.
I don't really have much to say.
I know you don't.
Don't know
And
enough
again,
of-
it's a strong connection for me. That's more so what carries this through, and the fact that I didn't really want to put them on for your sake as well, because I'm not saying that more people would listen to A Day to Remember than Machine Head. I'm not even sure if I would. If there was a prospect of you having to do this album, I wanted to do it because I picked it and it was straight off my own back onto yours. I didn't want other people to do that for me. Like,
Okay.
I want to be the
coming
reason.
then.
Yeah, potentially. But maybe not, because to be fair, I mean, like, I have my personal connection with the album, but from a critical like standpoint, there's so many things that are probably wrong with it. I've just never really wanted to look into that hole in the ground, really. So,
Fair.
but yeah, so they're number 3 for me.
Number 3 for me is a much better album, in my opinion, obviously, and that's Fortress by Alter Bridge. You already can probably guess the next two, but yeah, Fortress by Alter Bridge. Dude, it's fucking good.
It really is.
It's amazing. Straight from the opener, Cry of Achilles. What a beast of a track.
Just the amount of barbecues that we've been sat around David's house and just played that while our food is cooking, and all of us just sat there like with our different instruments and stuff. You'll have like you and Pete are fucking like singing and shit like that, and like doing the whole chest holding and like and fucking. There's me in the background just going nuts on my air drums, and then David's just stood there cooking cheeseburgers. It's great.
Everyone needs a David in their life.
Everybody needs a David. That should be our fucking podcast slogan. Welcome to Decipher.
Cut
Everybody
the bullshit.
needs
Everyone needs a David.
cut the bullshit. Get a David.
Beautiful. It's not happening, but it's still beautiful. Addicted to Pain, amazing song. Lover. When I saw them, like, I've always liked the song quite a lot, but when I saw them live with the orchestra in Royal Albert Hall, blew my mind. That song is amazing. Calm the Fire gets me fucking dripping wet. It's so good.
See, I would have only have listened to this album from start to finish once. So
Right.
when I first got into Alter Bridge, I asked my girlfriend to download pretty much their entire discography for me, and she did. Well, I think I might have asked her to just download the one album, and she ended up just giving me their entire discography. So I listened to their whole discography from start, like chronologically, to finish. So I will have listened to this album all the way through once, and that is it.
Right.
But I don't remember there being a song that I don't like of Alter Bridge's, really. I've never listened to an Alter Bridge song and thought that was absolutely diabolical. Like, there have been ones that I thought like, okay, it's not as good as another Alter Bridge song, but
Yeah, I agree with that. Until the
not a
other
bad
albums,
one.
not
And
this
his
album.
voice is
Fully excited that I scored some. Miles Kennedy's got a solo album coming out soon, and he's doing tiny shows. There's a 200-person venue, and I got me and Lewis a ticket each, and it's an acoustic show, but he's going to be playing stuff from his career, so Mayfield 4, Alter Bridge, Slash, and his new album.
fucking excellent.
So I'm ready. My dick is fucking super solid. I should rather my mum watches this sometimes. Sorry, mum. So I wish you could edit live videos. Fuck. So the title track Fortress and oh fuck, I'm tired. And the one with Mark Tremonti on vocals is great as well. Of course, that's probably my favourite for ages, and I've entirely forgotten the name.
Again.
Yeah, again.
I don't know why you're looking to me.
I don't know why I look at you. I'm just looking for some hope around your face.
You ain't gonna find it. I love Alter Bridge and I love his vocals, but that's basically what I listen to the band for.
Water Rising, by the way. Water's Rising.
There you go.
Yeah.
Really good. Again,
Fucking
I don't know enough
such a sick album.
to comment a great deal, so I won't really, but I will just say that I fucking adore that man.
Yeah.
And if I could pick anyone to sing at my fucking wedding or even my funeral, it would be that man.
That's a fair choice.
Yeah. Right. Here's the dreaded moment, alright? Here's the moment. But it means that they're not in top spot. And
No, that's-
I'm
I'm
pretty sure
interested.
you will appreciate who is.
Okay, I hope so.
You
I think I'll probably... Okay, go on.
You will appreciate who's in top spot. If you haven't already glanced at my phone and seen.
I haven't glanced,
Excellent,
but
fucking
I
good
have
man.
have a guess.
So number two on the list, and again, so a brief little background for me is that quite a few years back, I went for a really fucked up time in my life and didn't really know who I was. I had fucking loads of trust issues, hated everyone, really didn't know how my output towards the world was going to mend itself after certain shit that I'd been through that I don't want to talk about. And I read Corey Taylor's book, Seven Deadly Sins, at the same time that I really got into this album, and it was just an interesting mix, really, because Seven Deadly Sins sort of got my mindset thinking about, right, okay, like, I do too much thinking about other people, I don't do enough thinking about me. And then I listened to this album and thought, from start to finish, it's all about kind of the opposite of that, where it's just like unity and teams and things like that. So it was a really weird mix, but it boded well for me, and that is Flash Flood of Colour by Enter Shikari.
Laughable.
I'm sorry, but do you know what?
Is that with a clap song?
No, that's
Every
their
Scene
first
Kid,
album.
that was a fucking problem. Every Scene Kid was doing that when back in the Trebo days. Fucking loving it they were.
Every Scene Kid with DC high top trainers. Every one of them.
So yeah, go ahead.
What's whole album, absolutely the whole album from start to finish is fucking epic. System Meltdown is one of the most brilliant ways to come into an album ever. Snake Pit is a fucking banging tune. Arguing with Thermometers. Snake Pit. I actually have a bottle of Snake Pit beer on top of my bookshelf behind me that I got from a show where they played with, I want to say, Mallory Knox and Hacktivist. And then Shikari came on, and it was, again, that was a really close-knit, tiny little gig in Roadmender in Northampton. And it was just sick. It was not long after the album had been released. They played a lot of it live, and I went absolutely fucking ballistic. Bobbin Saunders got his nose popped that show, and it was quite funny.
You feel
really,
something after someone says something. Ugh.
oh well, it's just like it was so weird because the minute Shikari came on, we disappeared off into the crowd, and we were all jumping around and stuff. And I remember, like, I passed Bobbin, literally. So the start of a 5-minute period, I passed Bobbin, and he sort of gave me a nod and was like, yeah man, and then we just went different ways again. And then 5 minutes later, I passed back after, like, in the opposite direction, and we passed each other again, and he was covered in fucking blood.
Right,
like,
excellent.
Everywhere it was covered in fucking blood. And I tried to reach out to him to say, like, well, dude, what the fuck happened? But he was still just like, yeah man, I'm fucking angry, but yeah man, and just like... So it was a live fucking show, man. It was brilliant, and... I just, this album for me, just at the time that I listened to it and what it represented in my life for stupid reasons, really. Stupid reasons that I wouldn't ever understand anybody else. Like, I wouldn't expect anybody else to get onto the level and understand how the connection was made, but it just boded really well for me. Set me on a good path, and yeah.
It's fair enough. My favourite part of the album is at the end. The worst part of the album is when it starts.
I see.
Yeah. Just get some key points for you there. Not a fan of Shikari whatsoever.
We could tell.
Great.
So your second?
Is The Poison by Bullet for My Valentine.
Good man. I left that off of mine deliberately, actually.
That's probably because I've already guessed your next one. But we'll see about that. The Poison, we spoke about, it was our first review, wasn't it?
You haven't guessed my next one.
Okay,
yes,
fair
it was our review.
So, yeah, again, I'll just slightly cap it off and then ask for your opinion and move on. But one of those albums, along with Ascendancy and Three Cheers, that built my childhood of music and getting into more. Fucking solid album. Again, that mixture of screaming and singing, so perfectly done. Matt Tuck, before he got over his fucking flayed ego, fucking solid album. The title track, The Poison's great. 10 Years Today, Tears Don't Fall. All these things I hate.
4 words to choke
One. The intro, I don't know if I want to push it too far. I might even say, including Avenged, that might actually be the best intro to a song. That's actually a specific intro, then into a second song, not like an intro and then you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like an intro that builds you up for the actual first song.
And it's a separate, and it's a separate song, not like where the stage by Avenged has that, and it's still part of the same song. Apocalyptica on that, great. I love violins as mentioned earlier. So going into her voice size is just fucking, it's from one extreme to another, and it's just intense as fuck. So yeah, love it.
pretty much hit everything that we covered in the first episode, which if you guys haven't seen, go back and watch it.
Debut.
But yeah, fuck me. It's such a good album.
It really is.
I have the same connections with it that you do. It was definitely like the first proper full-blown metal album that I didn't stop listening to for about 2 years straight. So yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Perfectly agree with where they are on your list. I know who's first, so
Yeah.
you know they're basically first. If you didn't have this mad fucking crush on Avenged Sevenfold,
I'd say the track least probably Cries in Vain, just because it got rinsed, and it was on their little EP beforehand.
yeah, okay. So the number
Number
one
one is not
spot,
Screaming Fire.
It is not Screaming Fire.
Not even a top 10.
No,
That's insane.
I decided to leave Bullet out of it, and if it was going to be, I think I probably would have had to have chosen The Poison.
Okay, fair.
So, and
You've always had this discussion before this podcast started. It's one of the things that led us to the podcast.
I prefer Scream and Fire as an album. It's just that I have, for what we're doing this, for like the reasons that we're doing this, I have more of a connection with The Poison.
But it's
purely
our favourite albums. And you're choosing the one that isn't your favourite.
because I have more of a connection with it. I have more reasons to say that it should be my favourite. It's just that given the choice of listening to them, I probably would. And it's biased to say anyway, because I've definitely listened to The Poison more than I have done Scream and Fire. So that's
Okay.
probably part of it. But if somebody handed me those two albums again and said, you know, listen to one of these now, I don't care which one, just choose one, I probably would choose Scream and Fire, because I've listened to The Poison relentlessly for most of my life.
But if you had to listen to just one album ever again, you can't listen to the other ever again.
No, I'm not answering that question.
then
It's
that's
not,
choosing
it's
your
not part of the
favourite.
agenda, alright?
Okay.
First place for me is something that I just don't think that you would have ever have guessed. Although you should have. And again, for reasons not that I enjoy listening to the album just because I love the music, it's about the connection that I have with it and the time in my life in which I found Meteora by Linkin Park.
Yeah.
There's so many good songs, man, and I remember the first one that I actually really heavily got into, aside from all of the ones that were being over-rinsed on the radio and on TV at the time, was Nobody's Listening.
Okay.
Fuck! That, like, for obviously a rebellious fucking 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, whatever, however old I was at the time, like, just basically starting to turn into a little shitbag, that song was everything. But it's more so the band themselves, I guess. It's my favourite album by them. Hybrid Theory and Meteora, it's hard, but Somewhere I Belong, man,
Somewhere I Fucking Belong.
is literally
Their best song.
Yeah, and always will be.
Fucking
I
love
don't
it.
think they'll ever write anything that tops that. So if nothing else, that song deserves to be where it is.
Yeah. Meteora was this close to making the list.
I'm surprised it didn't actually, but I'm kind of glad it didn't either, because yeah, I mean the connection that I had with it is, in terms of what I listen to nowadays, nothing that I'm really into madly at the minute would exist without Linkin Park. Pretty much.
Like, from what we said before about MCR and Disturbed, I feel like, well, definitely
They're
Linkin
up there.
Park
They're
are
up there.
but I've maybe even far exceeded it. They made such a change in the music.
Oh, for sure.
Got so many
Changed.
people behind it, and they not only a lot of people complain that they're mainstream, but how many of you actually got onto metal because of it? People bitch about mainstream stuff often, and fair enough sometimes, right? But when they bitch about Linkin Park, I'm saying so many people I know cite Linkin Park as the band that got them into metal. They changed them from the mainstream bullshit. They went, oh, that's sick, I'm going to listen to heavier stuff. So I will... Their most recent album, we already know my opinion on it. I'm not at all a fan. It's really shit what's happened, of course.
And it shows his pain as a person, like, as a human being. I think it, when you, like you've always said since it happened, that
Fuck this day.
all right, guys, so tune in next week, and
we got so much more to go through.
no, I think like you've always said, pretty much since his death. Like, if you go back and listen to that album with a fresh set of ears after what's happened, you can't help but appreciate it a little bit more. You might not like it still. I mean, I can't listen to it, but I can't listen to it 50% because it's crap in my opinion, and 50% now because it just hurts.
Yeah, it was
just
that's a
hurts.
dog shite. Yeah, I fucking agree. It's definitely up there. It's definitely the best Linkin Park album. Numb, of course. That is the anthem of anthems.
Yeah.
Fucking that's skyrocketed Linkin Park even further. A lot of people will say it should have been Hybrid Theory. I get that. I get why people love it more. For me, it's just got to be Meteor though. They're definitely the best two albums by a long fucking shot.
Sure. And it was always hard for me. It was really fucking difficult for me to pick which one. I knew that I wanted and needed Linkin Park to be in top spot though.
Right. Okay.
Just purely because I don't think I would. It's weird. If you were to ask me like, what bands do you think got you into metal? I wouldn't necessarily say Linkin Park. Like, I wouldn't think about them because, for me, I've always listened to them with a different sort of ear. I guess like they are definitely metal. And they've definitely, like you said, they've changed the direction of the type of music that we sort of look at under the deciphered microscope. Like, it just wouldn't be the same without them, like, as a band. And it became, so I knew that it was like, you know, I sort of attribute my likening for all things metal nowadays to bands like Linkin Park, and I figured they deserve to be in top spot, but it was really fucking tough to pick out of those two albums. Somewhere I Belong just has to top it. It just has to top it. Like
so good.
That is Goosebumps. That's like one of the first songs I remember listening to that was like, oh shit. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, definitely made top spot for me very easily, actually. There are other bands and other albums on my list even that I listen to more than that. It's just not with the same weight of appreciation underneath it, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I just can't agree more, to be fair. They were so close to making it. I had 15 albums written down, and yeah, they were close. So
I wonder who's in top spot for you.
Before I go top spot, I'm going to quickly roll back to number 8 with MCR, because you mentioned Goosebumps then. I mentioned before the Ghost to You, how it sends chills down my spine, and for the years of listening to him when I was younger, didn't really care for the track, thought it was pretty shit. And then I kind of listened to it with the video when I was a bit older, and then that's what happened. Thought I'd add that in. My number 1 pick is Waking the Fallen by Avenged Sevenfold. Shock horror!
To be continued.
Right. I fucking love it. I really fucking love it. I fucking love it. Right, for ages, since I've got into Avenged, my favourite song's been Unholy Confessions.
Yep.
Since day one.
For as long as I've known you.
Yeah. And that's from Waking the Fallen. Now, for years, my favourite album was actually City of Evil.
Interesting.
But then, as I got older, I got more into.
So what songs would you actually say that sort of ended up when you listened to the album again after deciding that City of Evil was your favourite for a while? When you listened to Waking the Fallen again, what songs were it that actually sort of like swung it back around for you?
Well, it was my overall tastes of. I liked singing more than screaming, and then I moved as I got a bit older, listened to more music, got into heavier stuff. I liked screaming as much as I liked singing, and Waking the Fallen has that perfect mix that I love. So Unholy Confessions is great. Again, this is another one with an amazing intro. Waking the Fallen into Unholy Confessions, which is sick as fuck. Chapter 4, insane. The drums are crazy on that one. Desecrate Through Reverence. Again, drums are insane. That song, fucking beautiful. I wish they would play it live. They never play it live, and it breaks my heart.
They don't really pretend to play too much from Waking the Fallen.
No, they've been adding on a few songs more now and again. Then you got Reminiscence. I've missed that one out. That song was one of the main songs that pushed me into wanting to get into drumming. Such a fucking good start. It's literally the beginning. Like,
to be fair, speaking from a drummer's perspective, the rev
fucking blew minds.
Yeah,
but that tiny right, that tiny little bit of drum there.
That's what he
was
me. Good at, though, wasn't it? Like Blinded in Chains as well. The fucking nuts.
Speed of light. Now, Eternal Rest is one of actually I wasn't too keen on it at the time. That took me longest to get into. Now I fucking love it. Second Heartbeat has been the only song that has been this close. I genuinely doubted my favourite song, and I thought it might be Second Heartbeat. It's not. It's still Unholy Confessions. But Second Heartbeat, that song is like 7 minutes 14 seconds of pure sexual intercourse. It's great. Fucking love it.
Because other types of intercourse just aren't really all that worth mentioning.
No. Got to be specific. Yeah, again, the closing tracks. Oh, dude, how did I almost forget? I Won't See You Tonight, parts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Part
so
1.
It's fair to say that this album, front to back.
Yeah, I'm going to name every track
literally
eventually.
Like,
part 1.
don't name every track.
8 minutes.
We'll probably end up talking about this in a few months.
That's fine. Yes. Part 1 is just 8 minutes of soft. Like, it's effectively, if you're not aware of it, sort your life out. Secondly, if you're not aware of it, part 1 is effectively. Sorry.
That good that he has to brace himself.
I know. It's from the eyes of a guy that's killed himself. Right, so it's effectively a suicide note. And so it's a soft part of it. And talking about him, why he's gone, kind of stuff like that, don't miss him kind of thing. Part 2 is the anger of the people after his death. It's a short one, but it's screamy as fuck. It's got like a soft chorus from the part 1, where like he's talking back out to the people that are angry for killing himself. The story there is great. It's honestly awesome. Radiant Eclipse is probably my least favourite song on the album, but I'm not too sure. Probably. And Clairvoyant Disease blows my balls off. Great song. Fucking great.
Probably, apart from Sound in the Seventh Trumpet, is it? Probably my least familiar Avenged Sevenfold album.
That's fine. That's a task for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I would do that off my own back. We don't even need to like have an album review for that.
No, I don't need to have a review because I will talk for about 7 days.
But yeah, so I'm not surprised, obviously, that Avenged made top spot.
No.
And I already knew what album it was going to be anyway. So any questions that I would have had in a scenario like this, I no longer have because we've been friends for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that concludes our list, people.
Yeah. So
perhaps some surprising choices on there from both
definitely,
parts.
I'm surprised. I'm still very shocked that Bullet didn't make it at all. That's insane.
I mean, yeah, they deserve to. It's just I figured we've already talked about the importance of The Poison for me. I don't really need to include them in this list again, because it would be for the same reasons that I brought up when we reviewed the album and why we liked the album as much as we did. Like,
Yeah.
it's for the same sort of reasons that they would end up on a list like this. So,
I mean, I'm surprised by Nickelback and Puddle of Mud just because I've never really heard you talk about them.
which is yeah, I mean that's partly why I figured choose them. Really,
Fair.
Puddle of Mud for me. I have a lot of personal connections with them, and they've helped me sort of draw closer to some people. So yeah, I mean, it's just nostalgia reasons like that, really, and like proper in life connections, I guess,
Well, that's fair.
that I attribute to the music that ended up sort of shaping my choices for this week. But I don't regret, actually. I don't regret it at all. Other things that may have surprised you were that Foo didn't make the list.
Fucking Foos didn't make the list.
Exactly, man.
Shit.
Like,
Yes, didn't even click in my head. Why did they not make the list?
I couldn't pick an album that I wanted to put on the list. Like, I couldn't.
So you prefer these albums to any Foos? Your favourite band?
I mean, that's not. I mean, they're not my favourite band. I wouldn't be able to tell you who my favourite band are right now. In terms of like big people from the music that we listen to, Dave Grohl is definitely like probably the one that I know the most about. But that's because I've been into virtually every band that he's even been associated with. Like, so.
But
I mean, I would choose Foo Fighters over 36 Crazy Fists, but I figured that 36 Crazy Fists had to make the list for the time that I got into them and why, kind of thing. So, I mean, if you were
Shocked.
saying pick 10 albums that I would listen to right now, and there would be my 10 albums sort of thing, but I tried to think about where I was at when I picked these albums up over like the space of time. Over the
Okay.
last 18 years, I've had to really assess, like, when with Linkin Park being top spot, again, like, I don't necessarily listen to that album or the band as much as I do other bands that are on my list, but for the time that I got into them and what it meant to me, they have to be a top spot, because I wouldn't necessarily even be interested in music enough to be doing a podcast about it if it weren't for them.
yeah, that's fair.
So there's all sorts of other reasons, like, it's not necessarily just about, like, would I listen to it? Do I enjoy listening to it, like, relentlessly? Sometimes yeah, sometimes no. Like, in some of the cases on here, I mean, I haven't listened to Bitterness the Star by 36 Crazy Fists for probably about 7 or 8 years now, but...
Did any of my choices surprise you?
Not massively, actually. No.
Maybe a bit of Bodum, that's about it.
Yeah, that's probably about the extent of it as well. But even then, it's not like a surprise. It's more like, oh, okay, I didn't realise that you liked them enough for them to make this cut.
Yeah.
But again, it's about your reasons behind it. You might listen to Bullet and Avenged and other bands like Machine Head and stuff a little bit more than Children of Bodom, but Bodom.
Titch was his bottom, I turned off for it. Okay, so quickly go over the ones that didn't make it for us. We won't go into detail about them like we have with the other ones, but we'll go over them. So my ones off the top of my head were obviously Black Parade was close to 3 Cheers by MCR. Volume 3, Subliminal Verses by Slipknot. I decided that I wasn't comparing them with Stone Sour too much, but they, like I say, Stone Sour was the last one to make it to the top 10. I couldn't decide between these bands, and I ended up listening to all the albums in a row and decided that was it. Five Finger Death Punch, War is the Answer, and The Way of the Fist. War is the Answer eventually beat it, but I couldn't fucking put it on the list in the end.
Fair enough.
And I think that was it.
I only had a couple of extra ones that didn't make the list. So Deep Blue by Parkway Drive. Fucking love Parkway Drive. Again, if you were watching last week, I really can't stand their newest album. It's shite. But Deep Blue, Horizons, and there is another one in between, Atlas, is alright as well. So yeah, they were on here, but they didn't make the list just because I didn't really feel like I had enough of a reason to put them on there.
Okay.
If I was going to choose a Foo Fighters album, I guess it would probably either have to be Wasting Light or Echo Silence, Patience, Grace. But I could choose any Foo Fighters album, really. They're another bands that have my favourite songs of theirs dotted between so many albums now. The Poison is on my list. And yeah, that's it for extra ones that are sort of worth noting.
Alright, and fan comments.
Mm.
So got a few. So I think his name's Ryan John Clough. He said, is it Ryan John Clough? Hey, I remember things. He said blackening has to be part of it.
Yeah.
Kind of fair. Now we have Craig Glenister from the bottom up.
Yep.
So his number 10 pick was Hatebreed, The Rise of Brutality.
Alive or Just Breathing by Killswitch.
He's a Jazzy fan.
There we go.
Dissection by Rain Chaos.
We've got a bit of Whitechapel on here, Our Endless War. Ashes of the Wake, Lamb of God, that's a fucking damn good choice.
Volbeat, Seal the Deal, and Let's Boogie.
That's if they've not released another
Craig,
one
I'm
since
surprised
then.
by that, actually. I didn't.
That's their newest, isn't it?
Seal the Deal, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just called Seal the Deal.
No, it's Seal the Deal and Let's Boogie. Because
Fucking hate
the
that
lyrics
track.
of the
What a
song
stupid name for
are
an
Seal
album.
the Deal and Let's Boogie for a while.
I can't stand Volbeat, man.
I actually
I feel
really
like I
like
can't
that
stand
song.
him, but I'm surprised by Craig. Well, you see by most of his list, he's into his heavy shit, so I'm surprised by
Dying
Volbeat.
Fetus next.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
War of Attrition.
Well, yep. Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park. Of
course.
Again, yep.
Dire as Murder, Hate, and his top one was Machine
by Static X.
by Static X.
I'm not a big Static X fan, but I've listened to a few of their songs in the past, or I've had dealings with a few of their songs through gaming and stuff like that. They're alright.
Yeah, I remember. I've spoken to Craig about this before. I think because I was surprised when I found out that was his top album, or that was one of his top bands. And I think it's just when he was younger. That was one of the main bands. But
we have
Cooling.
yes, Daniel Cooling. So Mutter, Rammstein, A Crowd Left and Murder. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Make Yourself or Science are their
Incubus.
best release before 2000.
So that's by Incubus, which we'll get to shortly.
Yes.
Deftones, White Pony.
Now, interestingly enough, very nearly made the list for me.
Okay.
I didn't really want to talk about them just a minute ago because I figured there's probably not enough people that would know this album by them.
Even though I recognise it, the album. It's Believer with a White Pony, isn't it?
Some editions might be, but I had the actual disc and it was just a white background with a white pony.
Okay. Could you see the pony if it was a white background?
Yeah, like it had the outline of a pony,
Okay.
but the pony
Got ya.
itself was white, the background was white.
Got ya.
Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf. Not for me, but I can understand why people really do like them. Never even... Yep.
So Mars Volta.
Yeah.
Or the Mars Volta, should I say? Deloused in the Comatorium. Fair fucking enough.
And then Hybrid Theory again.
Yeah, I knew that we mentioned a few times. So thanks for the comments.
Yeah.
Keep them coming in every week when we have a topic.
Good selections there, actually, to be fair. A few of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely worth mentioning.
So-
So, speaking of Incubus.
Incubus, Make Yourself.
That is this week's review.
Yes.
Very
As I
good
mentioned
choice.
earlier, they were one of those bands that got into at the time, and thanks to Nina Brooks, really fucking loved them at the time, then just didn't listen to them for years. I've always known that my favourite, well, we'll get to a bit shortly as well, my favourite song is Drive by them.
Yeah.
Because that song is
Have you
fucking
decided
great.
whether or not something has overtaken?
I'm not sure, so
Interesting.
I'll give you my top picks, because this was actually my choice, but to make myself learn more, because Rob's more into that. So my picks for top tracks are Drive, Stella, which I've always loved anyway, Intergalactic Skrillexica. Didn't really want to hear that beforehand, but now listen to it now, I like it a lot more.
It's trippy. It's
Yeah,
a bit
it's
weird.
definitely
It's
trippy.
really good.
I Miss You,
Yeah.
fucking great track. Pardon Me, Privileged, and The Warmth.
Okay.
So, Pardon Me.
This is the one. This
This
is the
is
other
the
one.
one.
I thought it might be. I
Pardon
thought it was
me.
either going to be Stella or Pardon Me.
Yeah, it's just something about it, man. Like, it's been in my head for the last 2 days. I've tried not to sing it.
The drums are
Walking
fucking
in.
sick.
They are.
as
They're
well.
great. The lyrics, Pardon Me While I Burst Into Flames. It's like, alright, mate. But then the chorus is kind of like, the verses are like kind of trippy as well.
Yeah.
With all the scratch.
Yeah.
So,
Fucking, that's what Incubus. That's what I built my love for Incubus on, was their additional instrumentation and
Yeah.
shit like that. And they're just balls to the fucking wall trippy sometimes, man. Like,
they are.
this is what
It's
I
the same
really
level
like
to
about
shit
this
now.
album. A little bit, yeah. This is what I really liked about this album, and I've always liked this though, is that. So, opening song Privilege.
Yeah,
Um,
really good.
Really good, and a normal sort of just heavy hitting, not like a heavy song, but like it's a heavy hitting normal sort of song. It pumps you up for like a normal album. And it just doesn't prepare you for the strangeness that that album actually has in store for you. Like the first couple of songs are kind of normal, and then you start getting into weirder ones, like Consequence, The Warmth. Like those sort of songs are just kind of like what, and then you go back and listen to the opening of the album again. This is what I fucking love about this album, though, is that like if you put them on and like the first song, people would probably be like, oh yeah, these guys are alright, aren't they? And then literally like 2 songs into the album, they'll be like, what the fuck is this, man? These people need to stop taking so much acid. Like, they're just so good. Best ones, like standout songs for me, are all of the usual ones. Drive, Pardon Me. My favourite song is Stella.
Okay.
That's my
Alright,
favourite
fair
song. For a while it was Drive, then for a while it was Pardon Me. I just can't. Yeah, I
His voice is
can't get
incredible
that
on
song
that song.
out. And the acoustic version, if you haven't heard the acoustic
I don't.
version, listen to it, man. It
I'll
is.
give it a go. I'm
it's
not massive on
fucking-
acoustics.
Trust me, it's brilliant.
I know I just like was excited about Miles Kennedy acoustic, but it's different.
It's brilliant. Listen to it, honestly. So yeah, my sort of biggest thing about the album is that I like techie sort of stuff. I like math rock and stuff like that as well. They've got really technical elements in there. They've got really trippy elements in there. And I just love that. I'm pretty sure they did it on purpose as well. They'll put the most normal song at the beginning of the album, and
Just
they've got
lure
a
you
few
in.
other. Yeah, they've got a few other normal ones in there. Like Pardon Me is not a particularly strange song. Drive is a very normal, calm, lovely
Mr.
song.
Very
like-
normal song as well.
yeah, and Stella as well. Like a little bit of a weird time signature. Other than that, there's nothing really overly technical about it. But virtually every other song on the album is a bit twisted and a bit fucked up. And like the lyrics are really good. It all comes from like what feels like a very genuine place. Just a really well crafted album. I think if listening to it from a critical perspective, if you're not like if you really want to just listen to an album that makes sense, maybe it's not for you. And in that sense, like I've kind of dropped it down a few marks for that it's not widely accessible to everyone, if you know what I mean.
No, but
And there
yeah,
are a
it's
couple of
def-
songs
it's
on there
very
that I just
different.
wouldn't listen to.
I mean,
that much.
Privilege, yeah, same. Privilege almost didn't make the top tracks, but I like it a lot. So it's trippy, but it's also one you can just lie down and relax with. It's
Yeah.
definitely an album that's going to make its way into my rotation of albums I listen to. I don't have a specific rotation, but I will listen to it a lot more. For what I'm saying, great album.
And you said that you rekindled with some of the songs that you'd forgotten about. from
Yeah,
listening
so
to this.
Privilege is one of those. I've got a look at the list. There's probably songs. Yeah, I couldn't tell you how The Warmth goes right now. I just know that I really liked it. But The Warmth and what was the other one? La, 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 la. Oh, I think it was Warmth and Privilege. They're ones that stuck out to me. on in terms of they're not the main ones. They're probably the least out of them. Well, Privilege is definitely the least. But they're the ones I remember. I was like, oh shit, I know this song. The first track I messaged you. The first track I was like, this has already brought a load back.
Yeah, and it does. I think people forget about how old that album actually is now. I can't remember exactly, but is it like 98?
I think it's 99.
98 or 99. Yeah. So yeah, around that sort of time. And it's, do you know what? You could pick it up today. If somebody told you it was like released today,
yeah,
you could still imagine
hasn't aged.
Yeah, you could still imagine it. So it is. I kind of agree with what you're saying. They've changed directions a lot, and
I tried the new album. I was like, oh cool, got Apple Music. Try the new album. No,
it's so weird. It's not just so backwards.
It's not Incubus.
It's not. No, yeah, you're right.
It's just shit.
So what did you rate the album overall out of 10?
So before you get to that, just quickly, with the whole Drive versus Pardon Me, I haven't decided. Just to clarify,
so they're about even strides
at the moment. But I've loved Drive as my favourite song for so long.
Yeah.
That I don't want to go. Oh, I've just listened to this for a couple of days now. Oh, that's my new favourite song because I got a connection to Drive. But I've definitely loving Pardon Me a lot more than I did beforehand, and I still love it back then as well.
I've done drum covers of both, and Pardon Me is extremely fun to play.
Yeah.
Like Drive is very good if you just want to sit down and play along to something. It's perfect tempo, perfect sort of. You don't have to go nuts over the top of it. It would drown it out if you did. But if you're looking to actually beat the shit out of a drum kit, Pardon Me is one of the best songs in general to play. Yeah. And there's enough that keeps you on the edge while you're playing as well, like some sort of like weird coming in a beat like half a step early or whatever. There's all sorts of stuff like that I really like about it. Their drummer's just sick.
Yeah. So my rating, as it has with every single album we've done so far, I've been switching between one number and the next number. I'm sticking with my original thought, and that's a 7 out of 10.
Bingo.
Yeah?
Same.
I almost went with 8.
Yeah, very close. I think one of the only things that I could say about it really, from my perspective, is fine. I don't really have a problem with the album, but I can understand why some people would pick it up, listen to a few songs and be like, this band are really cool, and then feel like they've been conned out of a tenner for the disc, because the rest of it is quite different from... It's almost like you've got two...
albums.
Yeah, in one. Like you've got like a calm album sort of dotted in and out of really strange and twisted one. And I think for some people that could pose to be a bit of a letdown. Like I said, it's not widely accessible to everyone, but I think if you're up for challenging your ears a little bit and like doing or listening to something that's not sort of bog standard and straight up the middle, it's definitely worth a listen. Definitely worth a listen.
So that's our first agreed one. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, and that pretty much rounds us off.
Yeah, so thank you very much for tuning in.
So while we're on the thing of
next time
albums, yes. So we're going to put the poll out to you guys for next week's one, which
for 2 weeks' time. You're choosing the next one.
Yes.
So the poll will be for 2 weeks' time, and we'll have given you a week to vote, and in a week. So we'll announce the winner on the next podcast. Then we'll have a week to listen to it and get our shit sorted.
So we have established that that's going to be All Hope Is Gone versus
by Slipknot versus Unto the Locust by Machine Head.
So we'll get that poll sent out to you guys, and you can tell us which one you would prefer us to review in 2 weeks' time.
And your choice. I'm interested. I don't know this yet.
Next week. So we had a bit of a discussion the other day, and I said to Kieran, right, it's time to start breaking you into some. A little bit more, not techy, so it's not tech metal. I don't want to start, jamming fucking 8-string guitars down your neck or anything just yet. There's time.
Yes.
So I figured I want to sort of break you into a little bit more, like a bit more music that's that more inclined that way, if you know what I mean. I can't get my words out for shit. So I was sort of racking my brains for a band that has plenty of elements that you will listen to and would probably appreciate from the off. I also wanted it to be perhaps a band or an album that you may have heard of them before, but you might not have listened to any of their music. And I have a feeling I might actually get you to, or I might introduce you to something that you'll like.
Okay.
So I have chosen Themata by Carnival.
Okay.
as
I've heard a lot about this band. I think I tried listening to them when I was in college, so like 10 years ago, or can't remember if I was too keen or not, but absolutely willing for this.
I fucking love this album. I think from start to finish, it is an underrated masterpiece, in my opinion.
Well, that's pretty fucking high rated.
Yeah, and you need to remember that that's from my perspective and what I enjoy about music. Like, I like drums that aren't played straight up the middle kind of thing. I like off beats and off rhythms. I like cymbal muting for effect and stuff like that. There is a lot of that in this album. There's a lot of technical playing, but also the things that I think will swing it for you, his vocals, you may find a little bit like at first, but I'm going off of the sort of same premise as to why you like Justin Hill and Miles Kennedy, like the range, range.
It's a very small wall that I like that style.
No, that's cool. I'm taking a risk. It is definitely a massive
risk. As long as
risk.
it's not like fucking Coheed and Cambria vocals, because that's fucking
no way.
That shit I can't stand.
No. So, yeah, tell us what you think of my selection for Kieran this week. It is more so, I mean, I'm already familiar with the album. I love it. So this is definitely more so to see if I can prompt some changed minds out of him for this one.
Okay, I'm down.
So yeah, so that's what I've chosen, and
6.
we will be doing that next week.
Yep. And the topic for next week. Now, I've already done this over on Beatdown Podcast, but we're doing it again. Also, I'm not going to look at that podcast. I'm not going to look at my choices back then. I'm just going to go in at new, and it might have changed. So we are going to decide. It's kind of similar today, but also very different. We're going to decide. We're going to book a day. One stage at a festival for one day. Okay, so we're going to have 10 bands play. We're going to have them in any order we want. It's basically our perfect gig with 10 bands.
Yeah.
And we get to decide the stipulations as well. So, as an example, which I'll probably use again, so spoiler alert, when I did it with Beatdown, I chose Killswitch Engage, where Jesse and Howard were on vocals. So both of them played the gig, both of them played their own songs. And that's that. So we can decide anything about it. So we're going to discuss that next week. The top 10.
So it's basically our fine-tuned festival.
Yeah, our fine-tuned festival. We booked them. We booked the set list if you want to be that precise. I wouldn't go into set lists for every band, but if you say you want to play this album, this band to play this whole album in its entirety, then that's your choice.
Cool, I'm down.
Yeah.
We actually did say to ourselves that we wouldn't do anything like this again, because this week and picking our 10 albums from the decade so far, from the century so far, sorry, has been tumultuous and bullshit,
painful.
And I wanted to tear my face off quite a few times.
I do genuinely think live bands will be easier.
I hope so. I don't have a very good feeling, but I hope so. But we'll see. So that is today's podcast.
Yep, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you hopefully next week on Monday at probably 9 PM again, or we'll fucking figure it out. Thanks a lot, and goodbye. I didn't press the button properly.